I'm gonna blow your mind right now. The majority of notes that you've ever taken are effectively garbage. They either just pretty handwriting or they a detailed record of something that happened at some point in the past. But when push comes to shove, they not actually useful for figuring out whether or not you know what you supposed to know. For example, how many times have you opened up your notes app to study for an exam or to look up some information that you know you previously knew? We've all done it. It's human nature. And we do it because we think it's easier than trying to recall the information from memory. We also do it because our notes are usually neatly organized and we want to screw them up. But this is the wrong way around. Your brain should be doing the work, not your notes. So here's a simple question for you. Can you name a time in the last 7 days when you looked at your notes and thought, wow, those notes really helped me to understand this topic deeply or recall some information quickly? Be honest with yourself. If you answered no, or if you didn't watch this entire video, then your note-taking system isn't working for you. So let's fix that. Let me show you how to use active recall to radically improve your note-taking and memory. Everyone wants to remember everything they learn. It's a natural desire and a worthy goal, but it's often at odds with the reality of our brains, which are wired to forget. Every second that passes without retrieving information is another second closer to forgetting. You can't remember everything you learned a year ago because you didn't put in the work to keep recalling that information. And you can't remember everything you learned last week because you didn't force your brain to recall it either. This is simply how the brain works. But there is a solution. And if you follow this video, you'll learn exactly how to use active recall to ensure that you remember everything you need to remember. Before we get into active recall, let's talk about passive note-taking. As we've established, most of your notes are probably just a mess of disorganized thoughts or pretty handwriting that you did at some point. You may not even remember what that particular note is about. Here's why. Your brain doesn't retain information that it doesn't have to. Forcing your brain to actively recall information strengthens the neural pathways that store that information. If you never make your brain work hard to remember things, those memories will naturally fade away. This is the problem with highlighting your textbooks or rereading your notes. These are forms of passive learning that don't require much effort from your brain. So your brain doesn't bother storing that information in a way that you can actually use it later on. Active recall is different. It forces your brain to actively search for information. It puts your brain in a mental state of alertness and focus. And this helps your brain to form stronger memories that last longer and are easier to access. Here are some real-world examples of how active recall works. Think back to the last time you had to look up a word in the dictionary. When you couldn't recall the definition of a word, you had to look it up. By actively searching for the definition, you were able to retain that information for a longer period of time. Another example is playing a game of trivia. When you're forced to actively recall information, you're able to solidify that information in your memory. Now let's apply this to your notes. You've probably heard of flashcards, but how often are you actually using them? Flashcards are a great tool for active recall, but you can also use them to test yourself on specific topics or ideas that you've covered in your notes. To make flashcards, you can use software like Anki or Quizlet. You can also make physical flashcards if you prefer. Another method you can use is called the Feynman technique. This technique involves teaching someone else the material that you want to remember. This can be done by creating diagrams or flowcharts or by simply explaining the concept in your own words. Finally, the last method I want to share with you today is called the blank page technique. With this technique, you would use your notes to quiz yourself before you review the material. By forcing yourself to recall information from memory, you'll be able to identify gaps in your knowledge and focus your review on areas where you need the most improvement. And if you want even more tips on how to use active recall with your notes, check out this video next. Thanks for watching and see you soon.